We're here with DJ Skeme Richards, Rocksteady crew. DJ, we're here to talk about the Olympic announcement of breakdancing being added to the 2024 Olympics. Skeme, what was your reaction when you first caught wind of the news that breakdancing was going to be added to the Olympics?
Well, it's funny because I actually I kind of knew ahead of time because they already had the Youth Olympics last year, which was like the kickoff for all of this, and they were talking about putting it into the official Olympics. So I knew it was actually coming. It was just a matter of time when it would be happening. And once I got wind, when I woke up in the morning, it was just kind of like, oh, it's really happening, and I knew that was going to be a major moment right there when it really was announced, like it's happening. So, it's a good thing. I'm liking that the culture is being pushed forward and is being brought to the attention of more people, and just hoping that the masses can actually sit back and understand the foundation and the history of the dance versus just seeing it as like, oh, this is something cool in the Olympics, and actually studying and understanding like, oh, where does this come from? What culture does this come from? Who does it come from? So yeah, it was actually an exciting announcement in the morning.
You've been associated with the culture basically from the beginning. What do you think the public can expect to see during a competition like this, in the Olympics that, might be different than what maybe they grew up watching on television?
Well, with this, it's kind of one of those things where the excitement level, I would say it's comparable to like the skateboarding scene. There's a lot of like tricks and a lot of action. It's kind of like no frills. What you saw on TV, what you saw in movies was kind of frills, and it was, movies and scripts written. But this is more so like pure and actually like from the essence in a sense. There's going to be music playing, so there's going to be people and like kids that are really going out and putting their heart and soul into the dance and, trying to captivate the audience as well as the judges. So it's really pulling from the essence of the dance with the music and the moves and stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of excitement, and I compare it to the skateboarding scene because the skate scene is the same way. Like you could watch skating on the streets, or you could see it in different documentaries and movies. But it's something seeing it like firsthand like that in the Olympics, which makes it something special.
A lot of people who are paying attention to this might be interested. Like, well, how would it be judged? You've judged competitions and DJ'd all across the globe. This is going to be in a one-on-one format. What can you share about how that's usually judged and what they're looking for from the participants?
Well, it's going to be to the Olympic standards of judging how they judge everything else. They're going to come up with the criteria, which I'm not really sure of the criteria yet, but they're going to come up with the criteria, which will probably be foundation, rhythm, technicality. Same with skating, same with skiing. It'll be all of these different criterias that they would have to meet, and it'll be 1 out of 10 or whatever numbers they're going to judge by. But it'll be similar to the same way they do skate or anything. It'll probably be different than what we do in the streets or what we do at jams or competitions, in our world. But similar in a sense, because you're still being judged by your peers.
Right.
So it'll be a
like
criteria.
A more formalized type of grading as opposed to maybe like off of feel or aesthetics.
Exactly. Because, you have to have a paper trail when you're doing the Olympics. You can't just go by feel, how we would do in the streets and just, your heart and like, oh, yeah, this person. No, there has to be a guideline so it's transparent on who wins, who loses.
You've traveled the globe as a member of the Rocksteady crew, and you're one of the foremost DJs, on the breakdancing scene. What have you seen internationally that, tells folks, hey, this is not just a United States America thing. This is a global phenomenon, and we're going to see this come Olympic time?
Well, honestly, especially with the Europeans, even Japan, like breaking has been going on in Japan since the 80s. Like when hip hop first went over to travel and go on tour, it went to Europe, it went to France, it went to Japan. Japan was like probably the second place it went to. And, we had chapters of Rocksteady in Japan. There's still a chapter of Rocksteady in Japan now. So like it's been there. And the Japanese, the Koreans especially have been holding it down for a long time now. Like the Korean crews are killing it. So like internationally, there's no sleepers internationally. Asia, Russian b-boys are some of the rawest b-boys, b-girls. So yeah, there's really no slouches right now. I mean, globally and internationally, everyone's out to represent.
And speaking of represent, you represent the Rocksteady crew, and for those, that might be a little bit less informed, what does it mean to you to be able to wear that badge, across the globe, representing, the outfit and the culture?
Well, like Rocksteady is, I would say, the most iconic b-boy, b-girl crew in the world. I mean, Crazy Legs, the president, he's an icon. He's a hip-hop icon. And not only just in breaking, but just like hip-hop in general, he is an icon. And to be able to represent a crew that has this type of history, going back to 1977, and being influential in the breaking scene and movies with, Flashdance or Beat Street or Wild Style, like documentaries like Star Wars, like it's an honor to carry on lineage, from a crew like Rocksteady. It's the most iconic b-boy, b-girl hip hop crew in the world.
Mm-hmm. And if you were DJing a competition like this, or somehow this is 2024, and you get asked to DJ, what are some choice cuts that you would throw on that you feel like need to be a part of something like this?
Well, see, that's the thing about doing the Olympics. You're actually not. You don't have the ability to play licensed music. You have to have music created for it, which takes away from the essence of the dance in a sense, because now you have to have producers or you have to have live musicians come in and record songs that DJs can play. So you're losing an aspect of the foundation of the dance because you're losing the music because it's licensed. Like, you can't throw in James Brown because, licensing fees are going to cost, which is why in the Olympics or like major competitions, when you see them streaming, the music of the culture isn't represented in these events because of licensing, factors that are going on. So the good thing though is we have skilled producers in the scene and breakbeat DJs in the scene and bands in the scene that will be putting together music, which is dope because it's as close to the essence of the music that we can get as James Brown or Jimmy Pastor Bunch or Incredible Bongo Band. That's the closest we can get to it without having to pay these licensing fees to license all this music.
Right, and I think some people don't understand that like at an event like that, the cost of, like you said, licensing James Brown makes it almost untenable, in that a lot of these sponsors have went to creating custom tracks that are close enough, right, with, like you said, skilled producers and people with those talents.
Right. Like I like, honestly, I mean, if it was up to me, yeah, I would love to just play James Brown and like all this music that's a part of the culture, because that's the feeling, the essence of this dance. When you start creating music that sounds like now, the feeling isn't the same as what these live funk and soul bands were playing, in the 70s. It's two different worlds, but like I said, like there's skilled producers that are doing things right now, and, hopefully the music will be on point, and, the dancers will bring out the best in that music.
In the years now, right, we have a 4-year lead up, to this. Like, what do you see in terms of interest, building, in breakdancing and the art form leading into the Olympics?
Well, see, now this is like the show and prove time right now. This is like a really important moment because this will define what will happen in the next 10 years. This will define if sponsors will want to get involved and start sponsoring b-boys, because we don't really have that right now. I mean, we have Red Bull who sponsors the BC1 All-Stars, which is great, but we don't have, Coca-Cola. We don't have like all these corporations, like how, Mountain Dew does with the skaters. And like, we don't have all this corporate money coming in to sponsor, So this is going to be a defining moment right now to show and prove, to be like, okay, yeah, breaking is a viable, money-making thing that companies are going to get behind and put money behind. So this is definitely a show and prove time. So in the next 4 years, I'm sure a lot of eyes are going to be on what's going on, and then it'll be the telltale. Then will be, okay, our company's going to come in and start putting money into this.
Yeah. And who are some of the crews that you would recommend that people look out for in addition to, the Rocksteady crew if they wanted to, go online and do some more research about breakdancing?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got Flomo crew in Finland. You've got why am I drawing a blank here? Top Nine from Russia. You've got why am I drawing a blank? Soul Mavericks from the UK. You've got oh man, why am I drawing a blank here? Like there's just so many groups, but like those are the crews. Soul Mavericks in the UK, Top Nine Russia, Flomo crew in Finland. Why am I drawing a blank? There's so many crews out there. There's so many. Havacaro in Texas. Yeah, there's so many crews.
Well, what's crazy right now is like here we are in 2020, and by 2024, like someone in the Olympics could beat some kid sitting in a high school classroom right now.
Which is crazy to even think about that, right? That's crazy to even think that like it's that easy to get in a sense, because you just have this passion.
Right. And do you see like an industry growing like with youth sports with this, because now that there's some Olympic dreams on the end of it, that you're going to see a lot more like experienced breakdancers, offering classes or training, or parents signing their kids up for training because
that's the
now
thing.
You have kids with Olympic hopes in their eyes?
Well, that already has been the thing. Like, there's already been classes and training all around the world for years. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of B-boys and B-girls make a living off of doing workshops and teaching. Like, I know people that's all they do. That's all they've done for years now, was do workshops. So that's already a thing. Will the Olympics make it even more a thing? I don't know if it's going to add to it, because there's already a million B-boys and B-girls around the world already. So I don't know if I'm sure it'll bring more people out to want to do it, but I don't know how much more it's going to influence. The same with skateboarding. Like, skate kids are all around the world, but it's in Mountain Dew. Is that really going to make people want to do it even more? Not necessarily, because, skating has already been a culture since the 70s, So I don't know if that's going to make a serious influx, but there's already schools. I mean, like I said, Lomo crew in Finland has a school. There's multiple schools all around. There's the hip hop fundamentals kids in Philly, and they've been teaching, and they've been going to actually public schools for years now, and teaching dance in public schools, and they've been bouncing around between Philly, New Jersey, and doing workshops and classes. So the teaching thing has always been major. It's always been that way.
And the spots are limited, right? There's 32 spots globally, for this.
Yeah.
So to see the qualifiers and how they're going to progress as they get closer, like what exactly the format is, to be able to qualify and get in, it's going to separate a lot of people quickly, because like you said, there's a lot of people out there that dance, but then who wants to either do it to this level and has all like whatever the right combinations of things. Is going to be an interesting development as we move along the next few years, as they get along with qualifying and, get to the actual Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. And, it'll be really interesting to see how this is going to break down and how it's going to pan out, and, what judges are looking for and the criteria thing. It's going to, I'm hoping that everything stays on the foundation of the dance and how it's always been, versus, trying to switch it up and look for something else that wasn't the foundation of the culture.
And
because for me, I'm still all about the culture.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's a concern for a lot of people, because a lot of people, particularly for me, like, this is Black culture, so I'm hoping that I'm hoping it doesn't get watered down. There's foundations of this dance and of this music and of this culture. So I'm hoping, the criteria are still rhythm has to be in there. It's a dance.
Right. This can't be an aerial gymnast sport.
Exactly. And people, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's in the Olympics now, it's a sport. No, it's not a sport. It's a dance. It's a dance first and foremost. Yeah, okay, I get it. You're doing some tricks and stuff like that, but you still have to have rhythm. It's a dance first and foremost. It will never be a sport. you know, like so. I'm hoping the world understands like this is a dance first. This is culture. This is Black culture. This is Latino culture. Like this is culture first and foremost. Before it's anything else, this is culture. This is what we presented to the world to make the world take notice. So
And we'll see what happens, as people get their hands in it and on it. And I can appreciate that being a legitimate, concern as it gets brought to the masses in a different way that it was, 40 years ago.
Exactly.
Right. There's a different look. If people want to catch up with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, whether it's social media or your website, etc.?
Best way, my nostalgiaking.com website, or you can catch me on Instagram at Skeme Richards, and those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Definitely. Well, again, look out for DJ Skeme Richards, hopefully coming to a town near you soon, once we get everything under control. But for the time being, again, give him a follow on Instagram, Skeme Richards, and his website, nostalgiaking.com.